Do you feel as if you don't belong? Do you know you were meant for something more? Well, you were. Knowledge of who you are and where you really are from is within your reach. Join Janet Carol Lessin and Dr. Sasha Lessin as they search for the answers as they open up the Stargate to the cosmos.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Stargate to the Cosmos. I'm your host, Janet Carol Lessin, and I'm here with Dr. Sasha Lessin. I have to have that. Here. And our producer, Deborah Frank, Revolution Radio Studio B. And our guest today is Lisa O'Hara. And Lisa has a PS degree in business administration from San Jose University in California. She lived there till 2011. She worked for many years in a law firm, and she ended up in the IT help desk. And so she did all kinds of stuff, but now she's retired from that normal world. What happened after retiring, she discovered she was a psychic medium, and that was the basis, the catalyst for many discoveries about herself. And one of the things she found out was that she was an ET abductee. So she read Terry Lovelace's book, Incident at Devil's Den, and Terry's going to be with us in a week or two. And she wrote to Terry, and he encouraged her to write her own book, which she did, which details her ET experiences as an abductee. And she lives in Chandler, Arizona. She has her husband and 2 Maine Coon cats. I have a Maine Coon cat, too. Her book is called Abducted and Furious, How I Fought Back and How You Can, Too. It's a true story. And I'm not going to read everything about that for you. I'm going to let Terry tell you, not Terry, Lisa. Lisa's going to tell you, Lisa O'Hara. And she's going to tell you all about that. But before I bring on Lisa, I'm going to bring on Dr. Lessin. Hi, Dr. Lessin.
I'm really looking forward, Lisa, to what you've got to say. But I've asked our listeners to tell us if they knew anything about the beginning song that always introduced us, where it says they killed Dirty Dog McKee on that lonesome highway. One of my listeners actually wrote back that he was not really killed at all, but he was abducted for the Nachwaschen, the Germans. I don't know how much credit to put into that, but that's one of the things. If you get any more information on Dirty Dog,
yeah, what happened to Dirty Dog in the show before us? We're really curious. Okay, so welcome to our show. Hi.
Hello, nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I have feedback. Let's try turning off the speaking. So, welcome to the show, Lisa. And this is I know you were on one of my other shows, but this is a new audience here. So how about let's time travel back and to the origins of how you got involved in this extraterrestrial phenomenon and contact and your journey.
Okay.
So go ahead and tell us about 10, 15 minutes, and then we're going to interrupt you with questions.
All right. Well, I had, unusual experiences as a child, but nothing I could actually point to a specific, thing. Like, I couldn't say I was psychic, and I couldn't say I was, I couldn't say I was anything. I actually didn't know what some of these things were. I had strange experiences, like I would have, prophetic dreams. But I didn't always have prophetic dreams, and I had times when I would know something would happen, but not all the time. And I would also have daydreams that would come true, but I would have those at night. And so I just had these things happen to me, and I would put them in the back of my mind and try to remember them so that I could try to figure it out someday. At one point I was married before this marriage. And I had a lot of strange experiences with that guy. I would wake up in the middle of the night screaming when he would walk into the room. If I went to sleep before he did, and he would walk in the door, I would sit up and start screaming like I was being killed. I had night terrors all the time. And so, I didn't really know what this meant. There was a point where I was living in San Jose and I was working in San Francisco, and I'd be on the bus on my way to my job. And I would suddenly, in a daydream state, see people like on the weekend at a barbecue, at a birthday party, sitting in front of their TV. And I would think to myself, what is this? This isn't normal. But again, it's not psychicness. I mean, what is it? So at about 2011 and 2012, I started, hearing from spirits. And so I heard from my mother and my grandmother, and they had messages for my family members. And I thought, well, maybe I'm a medium. So I didn't really know how to turn it on, how to turn it off. And so I started searching for a mentor to help train me. And I searched for a long time. I didn't find one until I think it was 2016 or 2017 when I finally found a teacher to teach me how to become a medium. So I started going to her and doing a lot of meditation and, going from book to book, whatever drew my mind. I finally was meditating one night and found out that this negative presence in my room was actually ETs. And so that was disturbing to me, and I was really scared and really wondering what the heck, I don't want this to happen, and I'm scared.
Who was negative presence again? I missed what you said. It was actually what?
It was ETs.
Oh, ETs. Okay. Were they grays or were they other types?
I really couldn't see them. I could just feel them. They just felt extremely negative. And so I, didn't quite know what to do. I was actually in bed meditating because sometimes I meditated before sleep. And I tried to stay awake as much as I could. Eventually I fell asleep, and the next day I thought, well, it could be that it's not true, And I told my husband, he was like, oh, come on, But then I just started having strange dreams and just things I couldn't describe. No one else had these dreams as far as I could tell. So I went to my medium lady and said, I'm an abductee, what should I do? And so she started on the track of trying to break contracts, trying to break Akashic records. She tried healings. We tried different healings, angelic healings. She tried all of these things, but it just didn't really work for me. I had something I called my manifesto. I was setting sacred space. I was, stating my sovereignty, which I know I say that wrong. Sovereignty. I stated my right to free will. I said no. I said I don't want to go. I'm not going. Nothing worked. I went everything.
Did your deceased relatives? Did your deceased relatives give you any help about this situation?
They didn't. They seemed to be on their own path of, giving cryptic messages to my family members, like listen to your intuition.
No help. Okay.
Things like that. I wish they could have helped me a little bit more.
How did you know they were ETs rather than ghosts or demons or interdimensionals? What made you think they
I just
were ETs?
trusted my spirit guides, and so they told me that that's what it was. And so I just went on that path of the journey of trying to break the records. When I went to the medium, she agreed, but she thought that I needed to state my free will, my right to free will. She thought that I needed to try harder, setting my sacred space every night, and that I just needed to work a lot harder, and I wasn't doing it correctly, and I just was needed. And then also that because I chose this life before my soul came to this earth, that I needed to just accept and stop being a victim. So I just didn't really agree with that. I didn't feel in my heart that I actually did agree to this. And I wanted to find a solution to it. So I continued looking for a solution. I finally found it. Yay!
Okay.
No, what's the solution? You can't leave us like that. No.
Wait. We can get to the solution. We have 2 hours. Okay. Well, go ahead. You want to say the solution? And then we'll go back and unpack what you said, because I'm taking a little bit. Yeah.
All right. Well, the solution I found was using Stuart Swerdlow's books. He has 2 books. One's called The Hyperspace Helper. It has an exercise in it. It's called the Green Spiral Staircase. And it helps you remote view your own mind so that you can see what's behind it. One of the things I found was that I read a lot of books on trying to understand my situation. One was I read about my labs, which are military abductions. And I thought some of the situations suited or fit my situation also. I also read Communion by Whitley Strieber, and he talked about how you have screen memories from these encounters with ETs, and that your mind is creating something that you can handle versus the trauma of the truth. And so with that in mind, I used the Green Spiral Staircase to look behind the screen memories. My dreams are my screen memories. Or if I have a stress dream, like I've lost my purse or my wallet, or I'm naked and I don't know where my clothes are, I know that's a stress dream, and so I can look behind. I can remote view my own mind.
Wow. That's wonderful. Thank you. Yeah.
You're welcome. While I'm there, I use some other tools by Stuart Swerdlow. One is called the cancellation tool. It is, I now brown X out all unnecessary negativity in my life. I now brown X out, fill in the blank, according to the wishes of my oversoul and God mind. So when you do that, you are brown Xing out all unnecessary negativity. And so when you're inside the green spiral staircase looking at your own mind, what really happened, then you can use the brown X. So those are basically the tools. I thank him for writing those down, and I'm using them to change my life.
Wow. Okay. Now we're going to ask you some questions.
All right.
Have your questions ready, Sasha? Okay, I'll start with, okay, so when you would wake up screaming if your husband came in the room, what did he think of that? What was his response?
He did not know what to do at all. He would actually, he would wake me up actually, and he would say, "What is the problem?" And I would say, "What do you mean?" I didn't even know I was doing that. So I was asleep when I was doing that, and I didn't realize that I was screaming. And so all I would remember about it is a black rectangle.
A black rectangle. What was that?
I think it was just where my memory wipe was.
Okay. And what other, you said that you had night terrors.
Yeah, I would wake up screaming for no reason. I also sleptwalked or sleepwalked. I don't know what's the proper term. I would find myself wandering around in my kitchen. I would find myself running down a hallway. I would find myself crouched on the edge of my bed staring into my closet. Just things like that. I mean, those are very strange things. And I can't really figure out where.
Did you think to go get psychological help, or how did you?
Yes, I did. I did go for psychological help. I asked my therapist. Couldn't figure out what was going on, and she, I told her about that. She just wanted to revisit, my childhood things, my crazy mother who was a narcissist, and I don't think she knew what to do with some of these things, so she just, instead of looking at them, she just wanted to work on the things she knew how to work on.
Great. Was there any resonance with what had happened in your childhood Because maybe in your childhood your mother was what she was, but there was also abductions going on.
There was also what?
Abductions going on or encounters going on. It might have been both.
I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, my mom, though, she was of a different generation. She was born in 1939, and she didn't talk about things very readily. I remember talking to her about being psychic or being a medium, and this was before she passed away, and she just didn't want to talk about it. So I don't know if it was because of her upbringing. Her mother did have some sort of psychicness where she would, if she was working on a problem in her mind, you know, if she was worried about something and she dreamed that she crossed the river, she knew things were going to be okay. But if she couldn't cross the river, she knew things were not going to be okay. But that's all I could get out of my mother. She was very closed off. She didn't want to talk about anything. She was very, non-talkative.
Lisa, I've been working with a colleague who does this, which I think would be very helpful to you. You can ask your deceased relatives that you're close to assist you to learn more, to recover more, to find out what, and it gives them something constructive to do, and it gives you and them a team thing, and it's a really good thing to do. Next time you contact one of them, ask them to assist you in what you'd like to recover.
Okay, that's a great idea. I will definitely do that. I'm open to all help.
Right. And you are talking to your mother and grandmother, the one that you said that was psychic that used the stream. You are talking about those two people, right?
Right.
And those
right.
two that are visiting you. So maybe they want to help you. What years was this going on? What time frame were you having this?
Of this, which?
Your night terrors and your sleepwalk.
That was approximately 1985. So I was in my in 85, I was 23, I think. And so that's when it started. But I did actually remote view that time period, keeping the black triangle in my mind. And I did see that I was walking through the wall because it became transparent with two grays, one on each side. So I was finally able to remote view that.
Wow.
Was that the ship or just a geometric image that you were looking? Was the ship like a triangle shape or just?
No, it was no. I guess I thought of it as a memory wipe, but I don't know. I don't really know what the black rectangle actually is, but maybe that was just my interpretation of what I saw, or maybe I needed to black it out. I don't know, like when you redact something. But no, what happened was when you use the green spiral staircase, you put that picture that you're trying to see behind it, you put it in your mind. So you put like the black rectangle on your third eye, so to speak. And you keep that in mind. You think about that as you're descending the staircase. And then when you feel like you're going to step off the staircase, you step off. And then you see the scene in front of you of what's behind it.
So that's actually a technique that Stuart Swerdlow used. It's the black triangle, and you were seeing it before you discovered Stuart Swerdlow. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not. I'm saying that when I was being abducted or whatever was happening to me when I was 23, all I would remember of the night terror would be a black rectangle.
Right.
So using Stuart Swerdlow's technique of the green spiral staircase to see behind the black rectangle, I would put the black rectangle in my mind as I'm descending the green spiral staircase, which is Stuart Swerdlow's technique, so that I could see what was going on behind the scenes.
The Stuart uses the language of hyperspace, and I thought that the black triangles might be one of the symbols. I haven't studied it extensively, but I met Stuart, worked with Stuart, and I know he's got all these symbols of hyperspace, and I wondered if the black triangle was one of his symbols.
Well, I don't know, because I'm talking about a black rectangle.
Yeah, okay, it's a rectangle. You said a triangle.
Did I? I thought I said rectangle.
Yeah, you did say rectangle, but then I think you said triangle too. So anyway, I wrote them both down. That's why I'm confused. But okay, not to worry. It's not. I was just curious about it. Okay, so when you were, so you said that the ETs were extremely negative. How did you know they were negative? What made you say this is a negative ET?
It just felt negative. It just felt extremely, when you walk into a room and you feel like a negative force, or you feel like you should run out, or you feel it's a heaviness, or you feel like it's a blackness. I mean, I can't describe it. Sometimes I feel colors, and I can't even explain what that means. Sometimes I hear colors. I just felt like it was a heavy negativity. Sort of like, when you're around an energy vampire, and you just can feel the heaviness, the negativity in the air. That's how it felt to me.
And so you never saw these ETs. Did you ever remote view them to see which species you were dealing with?
I did remote view them, but I have seen a couple of them. Mostly what I've seen are praying mantises. Uh-huh. I've seen praying mantises in robes, in brown robes with hoods. And I had a incident where I had I fell over with a tall recycle bin. It cut my knee. And that night, my knee started throbbing. And it wasn't throbbing before I went to sleep. It just started throbbing all of a sudden. And the next thing I know, I look up and I see this tall, 7-foot praying mantis over my bed. She's trying to get me to go to her ship to get my leg fixed. And she gave me that feeling of, motherliness and, empathy. But I felt nervous because I didn't want to agree to go to a ship, especially after I was trying to break these contracts. I didn't want to agree to go to a ship, so I kept telling her no. And she kept trying to find other ways to get me to say yes. She would say, well, would you let me take you to the ship if some other bad guys have you? If they have you, can I take you to my ship? And I don't remember. I think I said no, but I don't know. I felt manipulated at that point. And so I just tried to stay awake as long as possible. I felt this little pinch on my arm, kind of like of a mosquito bite, and then fell asleep. And so the next day, my leg didn't throb anymore, but it gave me information. It gave me the fact that I probably had an implant in my leg, and it had been damaged, and it called her.
Wow. So have you found the implant in your leg? Do you know where it is?
No, I have found some implants, but not that particular one. I mean, it doesn't feel like there was anything underneath there, and it didn't before I cut my leg. I found other implants where they'll have like an ingrown hair. Then when I pull out the hair, a little hole is underneath the skin, and there'll be like a little marble underneath the skin. And when I finally get that out, it's like a flesh marble. So it disintegrates, because it's flesh. And so I've had stuff like that. But I haven't really found a lot of implants. Sometimes I'll feel something moving around, but I just can't, figure out where it's coming from or where it went. When I look for it again, I can't necessarily find where it is now.
Do you have anything going on with your sinuses? A lot of abductees have sinusitis.
Yes, I have that.
You have that, yeah.
But I also have allergies and, so I don't know. I don't want to be like my husband who likes to science everything and say, oh, there's a good explanation for it. But so I don't know. But I also don't want to jump on the bandwagon of obviously it's this or that because I don't really know.
We don't know. We're just looking at it.
Right.
Going to conclusions. I remember getting an implant up my right nostril, way up deep. And then years later, I got an X-ray from somebody, because I had horrible sinuses and allergies. And she said, what is this? The female doctor is like, what is this up in your sinus cavities? And I didn't go into the conversation with her, but I knew. I knew what it was. So I kind of had my quote-unquote proof. But, okay, if you have any questions, I'm asking a serious question. I'm just going over the notes. Okay, so tell our listeners about breaking contracts and stating your right of sovereignty. People may not have ever heard of that before. So you're saying that, what are you saying, that we have contracts with these beings that we've made before we came here, and that we can break contracts? Is that what you're saying? I don't want to lead the witness, but what do you say?
That is what I was told, was that I made a contract, my soul made a contract, because we're here to learn lessons, and that I agreed to being abducted prior to my growing up here on Earth. She also said that we could state our right to free will, and we had to respectfully demand from our archangels that we respectfully demand that we have right to free will, and we state our sovereignty because we are sovereign beings. And so she had me.
When she told you that, because sometimes people tell me things and I go, nah, that's BS, and sometimes, I get shivers. I go, yeah, that's truth. When she was telling you that, did that resonate with you, that that's what really happened, or is that just something she's saying?
I would say at first it didn't resonate with me. Nothing she said resonated with me, but I wanted to not leave any stone unturned. So if she said that that's what she thought it was, then I was all in. I was gonna go for it. If she said all I needed to do was work harder, then I worked harder, because I really wanted this to stop. I didn't want to be abducted every night, or as I found out, I'm abducted 4 times a night. So I wanted it to stop. I did everything she said as hard as I could, and she sometimes wanted to clear Akashic records, so she did that during healings that she did on me. She gave me pieces of paper to read every night, and I did that. And so I just basically did everything she said. And, at the time, I think you need experience, because you're in a situation that you don't know how to navigate. And it's like anything, you learn, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And that's what I was after. I was after trying to learn as much as possible. And when I tried everything she told me to do, talking to my spirit guides and asking the angels for help and respectfully demanding my right to free will, saying, no, I won't go. I just basically did what she said. And so I just started this little inkling, sort of like the thing in the back of your mind says, this isn't working. And slowly I just realized it's not working. I'm still being taken every night. I'm going to have to figure out my own solution, because it's just not working.
So, in existentialism, we say that your intentions are manifest in your results, and it seems to me clearly that what you took was your own power back, and your intention was to free yourself of being in this inferior, unempowered role with this other therapist, and taking your life in your own hands. Well done.
Thank you.
So it didn't work. So you're getting taken every night, and sometimes you're getting taken 4 times a night. What was that about? Most abductees, they get you once a week or something, once a month. But you must be really important to them.
I don't know
what their role was for you. Were you in a breeding program? Were you? I don't
know. I'm not sure. I think in some ways, some of the times I was in a 20 and back program. They did tell me that I'd been in 2 20 and back programs. They did take all of my eggs apparently, and so they claim that's the reason I don't have children. And I don't have children, so they had me on doing different jobs. So I'm not really sure. It seems like from a lot of my dreams and a lot of my remote views, they had me doing a lot of computer work. They had me working in a mine, I have a huge interest in rocks. I'm a rock hound and love rocks. So I don't know if all of these things are really who I am, or if they're parts of me, or why they, erase my memories of my adventures. I'm not really sure. I did have one dream that they needed my hand to activate something. And so the Army was using my hand, using me as an activation tool. So I don't really know. I mean, I wish I understood what their interest in me is, because
that sounds like you do know.
Do you do dowsing?
No.
It sounds like the same skill that you're just describing.
Oh, really?
What do you mean by that?
With this power in her hand.
Well, yeah,
and a rock hound to boot.
Well, I had to stand in a certain place, so so I opened a portal when I stood in a certain place. So I was used to activate things, so somehow we're endowed with those things.
Mm-hmm.
But so what? I have a million questions.
Oh,
so
good.
what? The 20 and back program. Now, some of our listeners don't know what that is. From your perspective, so they took you for 20 years and they returned you back. So what made you think that? Did you that memory yourself, or did you read about it and think it was yours, or what happened?
What happened was that I had two daydreams while I was driving. It was really strange. It was probably one of the strangest experiences I've ever had, where I was thinking about these people I used to work with. I used to work in DOD, which is Department of Defense. And I had a security clearance, and I worked with these two chuckleheads that I didn't like very much. They were father and son. And I suddenly had a kind of like a daydream of me being in an interview process of, they were saying, do you want to work with so-and-so again? And I said, no. And they said, well, why not? And I go, well, I've moved on. Because, these are things you say during a real interview. You don't tell them the truth. So, or you don't call them chuckleheads. So anyway, I moved on, time to move on. So they said, well, they really want to work with you again, and you need to come back to this 20 and back. And I said, I was like, I suddenly realized, oh my God, this must be real. So I said, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go back to 20 and back. Well, you've already done it twice, so why don't you just do it again? And I was like, I'm not doing it again. And I don't know what you promised me before, but clearly you didn't deliver. Otherwise, I'd want to do it a third time. So that's why I thought so. There was another time when I was asleep. Somebody woke me up, and they were talking to me about me breaking my contract. I broke my contract, and I thought they were talking about soul contract. So I said, okay, well, that's good, And they said, no, you broke a contract. Now you're going to die. And I said, okay. And then finally, a couple of nights later, they came back and they said, we're talking about your 20 and back program, 20 and back contract. You broke it. You used some technology that you created on your computer. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, they erase your memory as far as I can tell. But the 20 and back program is basically where you work with them for 20 years, and then they regress you back to the age you were when you started. So I read about it after I'd been, I had to look up what 20 and back meant. And so I don't know, but I do not want to be involved. I mean, I feel like there's something nefarious or untrustworthy about these people. I don't really trust them. I don't know why. It's more of a gut feeling. I must know something about, being in a 20 and back program, and I don't want to go back. So.
Yeah, it sounds like you don't want other beings deciding your decisions for you. You want sovereignty of your own life.
That's right.
Now, from my understanding, and I don't know how this works, but you don't always have a choice. And I have to hook you up with. Have you ever met Penny Bradley?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I'll get you. If it works for you, I'd like to have you on a show with Penny.
And Gloria was 62.
Well, Gloria is a little bit different. She's a previous generation. But anyway, there's a lot of a lot of females, a lot of women that have been in these programs. And anyway, I'm going to do what I can to get you guys talking to each other, because the more we talk with each other, the more memories we recall.
Right.
And we start piecing together. And I think this is the time for this to happen, because, we do have to claim back our sovereignty. We have to say, no, you're not going to use me for this and that. I don't even know if that's possible. From what I'm getting, it's like, oh, this just seems to happen. I'm working a program, but now it's like I've renegotiated my job, and I get positive things I'm doing. It's like I've reached some kind of agreement, and so I'm working on, some programs that feel good to my soul. It's not just they're treating me nice, but they feel good, like it's my higher purpose as a soul. But I want to go back to you. Did you have any questions before I go?
No, but just understand that when you're in a relationship with a being that's entirely different than you, it's not just one way. You're affecting the other beings too. You're not nothing to them. You are in a relationship, and so you affect them and they affect you. And that's a really important thing to hold on to and remember next time you go into an experience.
Yeah, I think that's one thing to remember. Even though they have superior technology, or they have wisdom, or not wisdom, but they have knowledge of who they are as an eternal being, and you're here in amnesia, but we're all equal. That is one thing that really hit me this morning, when these people, they look down on, like politicians, and they look down on humanity, and they, they think that we're just disposable units and just voters, and they, call us names. We're all equal in the grand design. So I'm just calling upon everybody to realize our equality. Whether somebody gives it to or not, that's not their job. We have to take our equality, like empower ourselves intellectually, that, yes, I am as equal to you, who you seem to be so great and powerful and, wise and so. No, all souls are, all consciousness is equal. So that's one thing that I got today. So I'm passing that on. We're all equal. But I want to go back to your questions. Are you done with questions?
Well, just the analogy is the mountain said to the chipmunk, I am mighty and you are small. The chipmunk said to the mountain, yes, but I'm small.
Yes. So, okay, so you don't trust them. You have a gut feeling. I want to go back to that. So you broke your 20 and back contract by creating something on a computer. Are you this ego or personality that you are you computer savvy, or is this your 20 and back personality created this program?
I don't know. It's a good question. I am computer savvy, and I have, when I was younger, I did a lot of different things, trying different jobs. And the problem was that I got bored with all of them right away. Yeah. I was a legal secretary, and I did word processing. And word processing had a lot to learn. But when I'd learned it, I was like, where do I go from here? So I went to trainer, and then I hit a wall there, because I was, training people, but thinking about what I wanted to buy at the grocery store later. I was making lists in my head. So, there just was a point where I just couldn't, I felt like there was nothing left to learn, and I was doing everything by rote. So I eventually ended up in IT, because it was different every day, and sometimes there were fires every day, or every day was Monday. There was just so much to learn, it was a huge mountain of knowledge I didn't have, and it moved so fast that, you can't possibly learn it all. So that's where I ended up. And so I am computer savvy, but not from what I understand about what they think I broke or what they thought I used. Because right now, actually, I have gremlins or someone on my computer. They're constantly doing things to my computer, and they irritate me. But, the computer is sort of like a sucking mechanism. Your time gets sucked. So what you think is going to be an hour, 4 hours later, you look up and you haven't eaten, and, that kind of thing. So I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know what they think I did or didn't do, but maybe they found something on my computer. Maybe somebody else put it on there. I don't know. I don't know what they think I know. Clearly, they erased my memories or regressed me. So why did they think that I suddenly figured something out and placed it on my computer? So I don't know.
Were you working with fractals or anything like mathematical like that?
I don't know, but I actually did have either a dream or a vision of fractals, spiraling fractals. That's what I remember. And
Yes.
I didn't even know what that is. I don't know what spiraling fractal means.
It's a structure
but I had
of the universe.
A dream of that.
Oh, it's structure of the universe. So, wow. So anyway, you said that they took all your eggs, and so that's I don't know if that's typical. Did that mean you went into menopause? You had physical response to having all your eggs removed?
Well, I'm not sure, but, this might be TMI or too personal, but when I didn't have my period until I was 15, almost 16. And then when I did, then I started menopause at age 37. So I'm 59 now.
Oh, okay.
So I think there was a very small amount of time that I was actually fertile. And so I'm not really sure, before I knew about this, everything was science. Oh, it was because, I had just early menopause. It's because it runs in your family and,
Right.
So it's hard to know.
They think all your eggs that they're using it in their program, and you have probably lots of children. How many eggs does an average human female produce?
I don't
and
know.
don't they come with them all at birth or something? How does that work, honey? A woman comes in and she has all her eggs when she's born. So anyway, I have to look that up, and I'm not going to navigate a way to look at it. But I've been shown children, and I'm in the humanoid program.
Mm-hmm.
And some are in the gray program, some are in the reptilian program. Were you ever shown or told about any children that you have? And they didn't let me have children either. I never gave birth. I never even had a missed period.
Okay.
Yeah, but a lot of people are asked to hold their children, their hybrid children.
Yeah, so I'm just wondering if you have any sense of anything like that having happened.
Yeah, I do. I remember that. They brought me some children and said, "Do you feel anything when you touch these children?" And I said, "No." And they said, "Well, why not?" And I said, "Because if I tell you that I feel something for them, you'll use that against me."
Mm.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you really got to how they manipulate, and you're able to be hip to them.
Yes, that's what I've discovered, that everything they do is all about manipulating my emotions, manipulating my, to get my compliance. Maybe they threatened to hurt my children. Or, they've already threatened to kill my husband. And, I had to say, this is his journey, and I told him, no emotional blackmail. If you hear this, whether you're aware of it or not, that we're going to kill Lisa if you don't do this, then you need to say, that's her journey. Because we don't want to be emotionally blackmailed by them.
Wow. They're thugs.
So they threatened to kill your husband.
Wow.
Yes, they did. And so I prepared, and then they said, okay, Bob is getting back surgery tomorrow, and we're going to kill him. And I said, okay, I'm ready.
Did they
No, they didn't. They didn't do it. But, that's how they get their compliance, right? They're like, well, if you don't want us to kill your husband, you'll do what we want. It's like, okay, go ahead and kill him. I'm ready. And I'm ready to, get through it. So now they have no leverage.
That's wonderful.
So who are they? Have you really pieced together
actually, this isn't in my book, but when I first wrote my book, I was really scared because there was somebody constantly poking me in the eye with long needles. And so I realized, I knew who it was, but I was just too afraid to say it because I didn't know what would happen to me. But now I'm not afraid. A lot of my fear is gone. It's from the Monarch program. I'm in the Monarch program, which is MK Ultra, and I'm a Monarch.
Uh-huh.
And so that was who was coming to tell me that they were going to kill my husband Bob. And it's like, all right, I started using this device called the Beamer, BEMER, and it's electromagnetic. And I found that I could get rid of implants in my head by using this, and it would take away my anxiety. Because I have a small amounts of anxiety, which I didn't realize was procrastination is the same as anxiety, but I figured that out. So I realized when I laid down on this Beamer, my anxiety, my procrastination would go away.
Oh, I love the Beamer. I use it too.
Okay, yeah. So they said, if you don't stop using the Beamer, we're going to kill your husband. And I said, okay. And then they didn't. I continued using it. And so then later when they said, okay, well, he's getting back surgery on June 1st. So we're going to kill him then. I thought, okay, go ahead.
Take him away. Are you still with this husband or?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
I am. And the thing is that I didn't want them to think that killing him would make me feel unstable and safe, because I think really that is their true reason for living, is for making you feel unsafe. So, okay, you can kill my husband, but that's not going to stop me.
So the MK Ultra people, from what I understand, are humans. There's a lot of humans in there.
Absolutely, yes.
Working with ET.
They're big shots. We know their names.
Well, I don't know everything, but yeah. So when you were in this MK Ultra program, were you on the planet, on the Earth? Were you off planet?
I don't know. I haven't discovered that yet. It seems like I spent a lot of time in Antarctica, where with the Illuminati. And so I have a lot of remote views of that. And so I have, being underwater, learning how to breathe underwater. And then I've also seen a lot of spiders. And so I'm not really sure. It seemed to me that one of the bosses of the Illuminati is actually a giant spider with a human head. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I've seen that, and they said his name is Carl. So I don't know.
Hi, I'm Carl. I'm a giant spider with a human head.
Exactly.
What an image.
Under the water, it sounds like
experimentation going on.
Right. Well, we know that, we have a history even of the Anunnaki doing experimentation, and we know that the Greys, they like to combine species, and, what does it look like when you put a cat head on a dog or whatever. They just play with genetics. So they made an intelligent spider named Carl, and you said he was like 50 times the size of a normal spider.
Pretty big, yeah.
and where do you think where was that when you met Carl? Because I think Penny Bradley talks about they have these whole armies of spiders.
That's on Mars.
On Mars, right.
They
giant. I don't always get to see the outsides. A lot of times I see the insides of buildings. So actually when I saw Carl, he was at the head of this long table, like a conference room. And so these are kind of the things I see. So I see inside of buildings. I'll see like Institution Green operating room, and sometimes there'll be unusual species, or bugs in there. I'll see like a blue sky room. That's a classroom. Then they'll have long hallways that are all brown, like medium brown. And these buildings are actually in caves. So it's hard. So I don't really know what planet it's on, but it's definitely in underground.
I just want to say one thing, and I'll pass you the talking stick. When I'm underground, they seem to have the used furniture. They get all the old desks and everything. It's kind of like, what? Why you have all this old army furniture and stuff like that? Anyway, that's what I've seen. Go ahead, Sasha. What do you want to say?
Well, I just wonder, if you, in your mind's eye, and I guess in every sense, when I say the words Bohemian Grove, if I said Bohemian Grove, what comes to you?
It's not, well, all that comes to me right now is like a big pot field.
Uh-huh. A big field of marijuana.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No.
What else?
I don't know. Maybe it's Hawaii. I don't know.
Interesting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
So I think I caught up with, so you're still with Bob. He made it through the back surgery. So what does Bob think of all this?
At first he thought, he just poo-pooed me, and actually that made me feel pretty good. It actually made me feel a little bit better, because when you're really scared, you want to have grounding.
Uh-huh.
So him grounding me by poo-pooing it was actually a good thing for me, and I could kind of get used to it at my own pace. He read my book, and he helped me with it. And, when I needed something, but most of the time I just I wrote it, and I didn't ask for his input. I think I was afraid I wouldn't get waylaid or attacked by my own insecurities or doubts. So so he thinks that, if that's my experience, it's my experience. I did tell him, if, this is going to come out and this might affect you, how do you feel about that? And he was like, well, I'm okay with it. So he's going with it.
Oh, he's great. Sounds great. How long you been together?
20 years next year, and married for 16 years this year. So,
congratulations. All right, well, we're coming up at the top of the hour in like 5 minutes, so let's kind of get to a logical point, and then we'll take a break for 4, and we'll be back for the second hour. So, what are some of the chapters in your book?
I have some stuff about my eye implants.
Oh, yeah, we want to cover that.
I also talk about, people having, views about meditation and what they're supposed to feel and what they're not supposed to feel. A lot of people think they're supposed to feel tingles.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that that's true.
No, there's way different modalities for different people, different strokes for different folks.
Right. But I think people think, well, this is what I'm supposed to feel, so I must be good. And so I'm going to tell people that maybe it isn't. Maybe you should ask questions.
Great. And what is meditation? Yeah. It's different for different people. So, like you said you have an eye implant. And we had that friend at the conference, and he kept saying, I have an eye implant.
Yes, I know.
So
Jimmy.
We've heard about eye implants. What was yours like? How do you know you have an eye implant?
Well, around 2007, I noticed I had these little pointy, like sea anemones or something in my eye, in my left eye. I went to the eye doctor because I do go to the ophthalmologist, and he said there was nothing there. So I had eye surgeries. It was still there. And so the one in my right eye is actually very, very bright. And sometimes it's striped, and sometimes it looks like a shrimp, like an actual shrimp with eyes. And so I don't know what it is, but it's really, really bright. It turns on at night. It sometimes reboots, and it looks like a little orb when you rub your eye. You know how you can see that orb with your closed eyelid?
Do you have a sense it might be something living rather than a mechanical?
Yes, I do. I do sometimes feel like it's alive, because it seems like it breathes. It sort of like floats along like a little jellyfish sometimes. So yeah, I do. And then if I try to look at it, sometimes it hides in my peripheral vision. I don't really know. At first I thought it was just watching me and it was reporting back on what it saw, but I'm not sure now. At one point it looked like a cocoon of a monarch caterpillar. And so that's actually what I think it is.
Oh, far out.
And you said you had surgery on your eye? They did surgery?
Yes, I had vitreous detachment. In my 30s, I had cataract surgery, and then usually when you have that, you have vitreous detachment. And when you have vitreous detachment, the top part of your eye falls down. And so on my right eye, I had it sucked, all the vitreous sucked out and saline put in. And then my eye pressure started going higher, and they had to do some things. And so when I came out, I had optic nerve damage, and my right pupil doesn't constrict.
Oh.
But I still have that eye implant.
Still have the implant. Your little buddy. Go ahead, Sash.
Well, I just wondered if you would picture a cocoon and a monarch butterfly emerging from that cocoon. Do you have any impulse that seems to go with that?
No, but I see the little caterpillar moving around in a caterpillar fashion. So.
Wow.
Wow. There's our music.
Let it keep developing. You'll learn more.
We're out of time.
Okay.
We'll be back in 4 minutes.
Radio at freedomslips.com, and we'll be right back after this message.
Many years from now, would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
The future is uncertain. I know this. Death is inevitable. I know this. But one thing is certain. As free men, it is our right to live unencumbered and in peace. And those times are quickly drawing to an end. And in these times, peace is certainly an illusion. And as the chains grow tighter, our ability to slip those chains increase incrementally with every passing moment. Inaction is no longer an option. It's time to raise our voices like a cacophony of thunder and lightning and tell the masters no more. And this is Nighthawk, and I say, for myself, no more. Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com, because the freedom is slipping away.
Hello, my name is Mr. Rowe. I am the host of Reality Extraction, Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. I utilize logic, intellect, and magic to methodically atomize, vivisect, analyze, examine, study, scrutinize, and extract an essence of reality from a fog of illusion and confusion. You can find me on Studio B every Thursday, 1700 hours Pacific Time. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. No topic taboo, no subject too strange. I strive to take a neutral standpoint during the dissection of the topic at hand. That's Reality Extraction with Mr. Rowe on Revolution Radio.
Narco-syndicalist commune. We take it in turns to act as a sort of executive officer for the week. Yes. But all the decisions of that officer have to be ratified at a special bi-weekly meeting. Yes, I see. By a civil majority in the case of purely internal affairs. Be quiet. But by a 2/3 majority in the case of more... Be quiet. I order you to be quiet. Look, you stupid bastard, you've got no arms left. Yes, I have. look! It's a flesh wound.
I don't believe I've seen such a display of courage, skill, nerve, grace, and stupidity.
I'll do you for that. You what? Come here. What are you going to do, bleed on me? I'm invincible. You're a loony. The Black Knight always triumphs.
Roundtable Live, Monday through Friday, 1 a.m. till 4 a.m. Eastern Time. Bring your mind, bring your ideas, bring your voice. King Arthur had nothing on us. Here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com.
Things were not quite right, that everything was just ever so slightly askew?
Do you have, to paraphrase Morpheus, a splinter in your mind?
If you're interested in hearing the latest information about UFOs, the paranormal,
ancient cultures and structures,
monatomic elements,
longevity,
fantastic discoveries in science,
download it to your brain,
then tune into us. Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Mackie.
And we are Shiny Side Out, Sundays 2 to 4 a.m. Eastern. See you there.
Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. You don't need to expect us. We're already here. All right. Thanks for listening while we take that short break here at Revolution Radio, freedomslips.com. And now we're going to get back to your host.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Stargate to the Cosmos. And I'm your host, Lessin, and I'm here with Dr. Sasha, Alex Lessin, and our producer is Deborah DeFranco. And you're listening to Revolution Radio, Studio B, and we're here with Lisa O'Hara, and she's a abductee project manager. And we're getting feedback. Yes. Okay, that's it. But we go back to our show. I'd like to invite you to go over to revolution.radio. And the top left-hand side, there's a tab. Let me try turning this speaker down just a hair. And you can make your donation, your one-time donation, or go up to the Patreon button in the center top of revolution.radio and make your recurring donation. And we want to thank you very much for making your donations because you allow us to keep bringing you shows like this. So, Dr. Lessin, we're back to the second half of the show. What would you like to talk about, focus on, questions?
I just, Lisa, you've got so much. If you just start rapping whatever is comes to you as it comes to you, in whatever segue it comes. The really best way that I find is going through the chapters of the book, and as you look at each chapter, just let that part of whatever it is to share is in the chapter unfold for you. And that's a really good way to take one of your books and do that.
So back to you, Lisa. Take us wherever you want us to go. We're on the journey with you.
All right, then. Well, one of the reasons I wrote the book is because I don't really know anyone like me. So I would be more than happy to meet some other people like me.
I get you all together. That's going to be fun. One big party.
That would be awesome because it can be isolating not really knowing anyone and knowing that no one experiences what you experience. They can't even fathom. Mm-hmm. My own husband can't fathom it, so it can be lonely.
It's, pluralistic ignorance means that there's a lot of people think that they're the only one. For example, most people don't think most people believe in ghosts, but almost everybody talks to their deceased beloveds.
Right.
It's like that. The more you think you're only talking about yourself and nobody else, the more universal you are.
Right. So one of the things I did want to talk about that's in my book, we talked about my eye thing, and I think, wow, I'm really excited to know that you know about the monarch cocoon or caterpillar in an eyeball, because I didn't know about that, and so I feel kind of heartened a little that somebody else has heard of that.
You
Oh, yeah.
About that, Sasha?
Well, we've done extensive interviews with Amisha Johnston, who was in the program too, and so we've got oodles and oodles of notes about their stuff at Bohemian Grove as party favors and signals that were given to them, which suddenly made them complete some mission, like giving a certain person a fellatio or pinning a rose on somebody who was going to be shot where the rose was pinned and stuff like that. And then so it's like we know of lots and lots and lots of people that have been in this program and how they got out of it and the stuff they had to go through. Lots of them had to go through a lot of suffering to get free. Right. But actually what really helped Amisha was that she had a reptilian ally that assisted her in getting free of particularly the MILABs. Once the military knows that you're an abductee and start hassling you, then your life is hell because of the military who are just mean grunts.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually think that I had, I think that they're the ones that are screwing with my computer all the time. And they know a lot more about my computer than I do, let me tell you. I also think they had people following me for a while. And so I actually recently went to a friend that knew a police officer to have them have a friend who had, like a PI that had equipment so it could be taken off. And all of a sudden, boom, they're gone. So, yeah. So I guess that's what I have to do. I have to notice it and take actual action. Otherwise, they'll keep screwing with me. One of the things that I wanted to talk about that I did talk about in the book is that people who in my situation may feel that they're extremely alone and that they just don't know any information about their own abductions. But the truth is you actually do. You have a lot more power than you think. So when you're lying in bed and you know they're coming, you can hear them, try to take notes. I mean, try to remember as much as possible. I sometimes get up in the middle of the night after I've come back from an abduction and write down everything I can remember. So I can either remote view it later or, if I know that a low-flying plane or helicopter has gone over, in my book I did note that quite a lot. But I found that there are patterns, and so that's what you're looking for. In the very beginning, I noticed that my clothes smelled funny, and I finally realized it was an underground smell. I said that it smelled like BO and feet, and that's exactly what it smells like, but I finally realized it's underground. So however long you're underground, when they have bent time and they put you back, for some reason your clothes still smell funny. Your hair grows, I have white hair, so telling everyone, but I do color it, and so sometimes I would have uneven growth. Or I'd have extra long, underarm hair, and I'm older and I shouldn't have this much hair, but yet, it's growing. So, these are all clues, and, we can all be detectives. We can figure out what's going on. And so that's why I wrote the book. One of the reasons was because there are so many clues, but a lot of people aren't paying attention to them. Or they're just words that people have never heard of. For instance, remote viewing is a word that I had never heard of. I ran across it when I was reading Psychic Warrior by David Morehouse. And I was so interested in it and so intrigued that I took a couple of courses. And I didn't have, I had some unusual experiences, which instead of scaring me, really spurred me on to continue to find out what was going on. And I think that's how I eventually found Stuart Swerdlow's books, because I just wanted to know the truth. And so if you have an inquiring mind, if you're curious, you can figure this out. They are used to being able to do whatever they want, whenever they want, and they don't seem to really care what I'm finding out. But for me, it's important. It's important for me to know what's happening and to understand the situation a little bit more. And my book actually does help people because, and actually all of Stuart Swerdlow's books I think are very helpful, because you eventually start getting rid of all of these ETs or people that are doing you harm that they conveniently erase your memories for. And once you do that, the more time you spend on it, you reap the rewards of less and less stuff happening. And I think I'm finally at the end. And it keeps me going because I don't want this to happen anymore. And you guys are using all your tricks on me. Well, I'm going to keep going. I hope you realize that.
So Deborah has a couple questions. Deborah, are you there?
I do?
Well, go ahead. I know I could feel you saying I have questions, but you did ask about Lisa's blood type, but I'm sure you have more than that. So go ahead.
You said in the beginning of your story that your family your deceased relatives started coming to you. You started hearing from them. Can you describe what you mean by that?
Well, one thing that happened was my mother had passed away in 2014, and I kept getting somebody talking in my head saying, Lisa, you need to get a message to your sister. You need to get a message to your sister. And at first I was like, what the heck? Am I hearing voices? I mean, what the heck's going on? That person was extremely insistent. This is your mother. This is your mother. And so I write it down. Make sure you write it down. And so I did. I wrote it down, and then that person kept saying, you need to call your sister. Call your sister. Call your sister. And so, and tell her in this order. I mean, it's very insistent. So, the next time that happened with my grandmother, it was very insistent like that, like very linear and orderly. And so that's how it felt to me. Then I started getting just spirits that would show up, and they wanted me to help them get to the light. And so at the time, I helped them get to the light, and then they would disappear. But they would make loud noises in my room, like giant, like cracks. And that's just part of the learning experience, I guess, of training somebody who's about to be a medium.
So, yeah, that's interesting. It's a giant noise like a crack. What do you think that's about? One time when the ETs were kind of closing the interdimensional portal, there was a giant crack, sound like thunder, like really powerful, or lightning striking. It was so loud, it hurt your ears. Was that a crack, like it was physical 3D, or something kind of beyond that?
It did seem like a really loud crack. I mean, they also sometimes would knock on the walls, because I was reading this book called How to Tell If You're a Medium, and it was one of those like horoscope-like things where you say, well, that sounds like me, but again, it's sort of vague. And so I didn't want to, jump on the medium bandwagon, if it wasn't true, so I'm not married to this, it's like I could be a medium based on these 14, points, but it's also possible I'm not, so I'm not really married to it. And then I started hearing knocking on the wall, knocking, like, no. So,
I got them knocking on the wall, and it was a woman that had died when I was on a military base, and she died in an accident out on the ocean, and her parents, they were trying to find her. They couldn't find her body, couldn't even find, toenail. So I ended up being quartered in the room next to her, which was her room, right? And I go back to my bedroom and go, oh, I'm next to the girl who died. And so she knocks on the door, or no, wall. I go, oh, and I knew her name at the time. I don't know what it was, but I said, how about we'll start a pattern here, one knock for yes and two for no. So then we did a dialogue, and she was responding with the knocks. And we went on for about 15, 20 minutes, maybe half hour. And I said, look, I have to get up at 6 a.m. I'm tired. Do me a favor, don't knock anymore, because it kind of freaks me out.
Yeah.
I need to sleep.
Yeah.
So she did. She and I said to her, look, your parents are on the way, because we had a little newspaper that everybody got every morning called the Daily Breeze. And I said, your parents are coming in for your funeral. So And that seemed to make her feel, I could feel her responding. It wasn't just the knocks,
Right.
but I could feel her emotional response. So you didn't try to dialogue with these people that were knocking. Did you have any sense who they might be? Anybody you knew or?
I didn't because, when you don't know, you don't know. So it didn't occur to me to have a dialogue with them. I just felt like it was like a knock of, oh no, we don't want to lose her attention sort of thing. So we want her to go this direction. So let's knock on the wall so that she realizes that we can hear her thoughts. And that she, needs to go in this direction. So that's why I went in that direction, because they seemed kind of frantic about it. Mm-hmm. So that's what happened. But it didn't occur to me to have a dialogue. And once I did start working with the medium, I realized that there was somebody really protecting me, because there are so many, bad spirits out there trying to connect. And I just didn't want to be, you want to learn lessons, but you don't want to be in that situation where you're really scared.
Tell me about who's protecting you. What's protecting you? What do you mean there was someone
well, when I was working with the medium and I was working with some spirits, she was telling me about how you have to connect to a spirit. You have to basically have your center or whatever, like a line that touches them, and it's sort of like the analogy of two elevators facing each other and using the knob on either side, trying to get it on the same floor. So basically what you're trying to do is not be lower or higher than the floor that the entity is on. And so that's a way of connecting, and we have to make sure you're connecting to somebody who feels good, and that you're not connecting to somebody who's bad or pretending to be good. So what I mean is that when I was first learning about mediumship, I felt like I was being protected from the bad spirits, because they didn't want me to be too scared to go forward. And so whoever was protecting me, they were blocking the bad spirits. And so
I'm interested in whoever. That's exactly it. When you think of whoever is protecting you or controlling the elevators, what is it that you get at the level of the one that's controlling this?
I really think it's just my spirit guides, because they're the ones that really wanted me to write this book, and I really didn't want to, because I like to be behind the scenes, like a producer. I don't like to be out in the front, but I found that they wanted me to reach out to others, and so in some ways I'm protected by my spirit guides. They watch out for me, and that's how it feels.
So what I propose is an experiment that you say you would like them to work on materializing so you can see them in the physical. What my colleague Chris Hardy says is she starts talking to her guides that way, and some of them actually work at it. It's they have to go through a lot of stuff to make that happen, but right. You can but request it and notice what happens.
All right, I will do that.
I realized I might have cut off Deb. Deborah, did you have any more to say? I'm sorry.
No, you didn't cut me off. I'm good.
Okay. I want to make sure. Alrighty. So, have they ever manifested, either the ETs or the guides or the ghosts? Have you ever seen them in 3D physicality?
I've just seen the ETs, like I said, and the praying mantis. I do see people every once in a while. Some of them look like, they're in army gear or black army gear. I've seen some, I don't know how to describe it, but it looks like a helmet with goggles, and it's black, and the person, it might be wearing a face mask, like as if they're breathing a breathing apparatus. And I don't know who that is, but I don't appreciate them. Sometimes it seems like they're trying to pump things into my house. I've thought that I was having trouble with either nanobots or nanites. I called them nanites because that's what it seemed like to me. But I found that they are everywhere. And if I open up sugar, the sugar won't have these little rocks in it, like if I'm making cream of wheat or something. But if I leave that open, then suddenly my sugar has little rocks. And I mean that was when when I put sugar on something, it tastes like I have added little rocks to it. So I started using packets because I just couldn't trust me opening up a new 5-pound bag of sugar that I wouldn't get little rocks in it that I can't see. So I just, so I don't know what they're doing.
What's in you and you're eating it, are they kind of terraforming you or something?
I'm sorry, what?
If you're eating something with nanobots,
they can assemble stuff inside.
Yeah,
all
what
kinds
are they?
Of things in you.
So they apparently don't dissolve in your digestive tract. So they become part of you. What do you think they're doing? Are they altering your DNA, or what are they? Are they repairing?
I do think they're altering my DNA.
Okay.
And I think that they're trying to make me into a cyborg, which sounds weird, but I found that when I use the beamer, for instance, I can knock a bunch of them out. And so I think that it's some sort of so that's why they don't want me to use the beamer, because the beamer is electromagnetic pulse. And especially when I use it on my head or the back of my head. I did try recently, which is ill-advised. I tried using a scarf with a piece of tinfoil on it. To see what would happen. Oh my gosh, it was like the longest night of my life, where they really didn't like it. I got tortured for it. Then I also got an ELF hood, and I put it in, it was like a little drawstring so that I could breathe. And when I woke up, it was on the other side. It was on the back of my head. So they had turned it all the way around. So, they don't seem to...
Your occipit's got all your ancestral memories in it, and not just yours.
That's the back of your head,
Yeah. So anyway, they didn't like it that I was trying to block their waves. So, because that's what I think. One of the things they do, I think they use some sort of radio waves to cause us to sleep, so that we, don't remember anything.
So that was interesting what you're saying, that they're putting it in your sugar, because I was talking to some people, there's people are for the vaccines and anti-vaxxers, and I said, they're not limited to giving you a shot to deliver their whatever they want to put in you.
Right.
Because when I was a kid, I'm born in the 50s, they gave us a polio vaccine, which was a sugar cube.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, I remember lining up, real long line, going down a couple blocks, and when you got to the front, it was almost like communion. They gave you a sugar cube here. and I'm thinking years later, everybody's worried about getting a shot, They can just give whatever they want in a sugar cube or whatever delivery. They can put it in the air, and you can breathe it, with the chemtrails. So whatever they want to do to us, to Borg us or change us genetically, I think it's already happening, and there's not much we can do about it. But who are the they? That's what we're always wondering. Who actually wants to change us individually, or you specifically, for their functions? Any ideas?
I don't know. It seems like it's very heavily military based. They're used to doing what they want. They don't really care if we like it or not. I mean, that's what impression I get. I do think that, there are people that do know more about it than they're saying, but I think they're pretty powerless to change it too. One thing I wish is that, we have all of these ETs, the quote unquote good ETs, but they're not helping us, they're not healing us. I was in another group, and they were saying that they connected with these great ETs. They were their friend ETs, and he felt their empathy for him and all of his pain, and they really empathized, and it felt so good. And I wanted to say, which I didn't, because I don't want him to think I'm a pot stirrer, but I was like, did she or he heal you? Because you have so much pain. And, you know, he never said whether she did or didn't. And it's interesting because I just don't understand why they wouldn't. Why aren't they healing us? And I think it's because they don't want to. They get more out of us being in pain and fear, and, you know, pain and fear control us. So.
Well, let me say something to you, honey. That's interesting because what I understand about the super soldiers is that we're so valuable, they won't let the super soldier die. So some of them have been in battles and they've lost their heads and lost their arms. I think Randy Kramer or somebody like him described how they put him on a machine and he regrew his arm and had been chopped off, and he said you can envision your spiritual body and then your physical body grows to match it, and then so anyway, there's these technologies. So it seems like they want us to be kept alive and heal. So, but it's not really because of their, you know, caring about us. It's about we're valuable. They've invested hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars in their super soldiers. So that's one aspect. Now, for me, you know, I'm 66, so I'm getting older. And there's some nights I just go, oh, I feel like crap. This aging stuff sucks. And then it's like I'm being put into remember on Voyager, you know, the Borg got put into the Energizer chamber, and when she came out, it's like, 7 of 9, she said, wow, I feel great. That's what it feels like to me. It's like I'm in this chamber and I'm getting regenerated. And if somebody wakes me up, I go, I'm not done. I didn't finish the cycle. Let me alone. I need to finish the cycle. So, well, what did you want to say, Sasha? I'm sorry, I stole the ball, but go ahead.
Well, there is another perspective that the awareness of the pain is part of the challenge. In other words, of what needs to be healed and what needs to be embraced in a non-dualistic way in order to transcend. Mm-hmm. And so you could say that everything is perfectly the way it should be because that's how it is.
I agree. I agree. I think there is some truth to that, but I think that if I would hope that if I really needed my pain alleviated, let's say I have fibromyalgia, and I don't have that, but let's say that I did, it would be nice if they had the technology to cure that they just would, you know? Right. Because so for many years they didn't even say that, you know, they thought it was in everyone's head. So, you know.
So what you've got as your particular gift is you can show a person how to go in to their own body and interact with their fibromyalgia. In other words, it's something that's calling for attention from a higher level of consciousness, and it's perfect for somebody that is you skip the drugs and you skip big pharma with psychic methods like a remote viewing within your own body.
Right, that's a good point. Yeah. Actually, it's been tough, though. I have a Facebook group called Abducted and Furious with Lisa O'Hara. And, you know, getting to people to try these things out is really tough. I mean, I'm asking you to do is spend some time using this green spiral staircase to look at your anxiety, to look at your fear, to look at your insecurity. A lot of people won't do it. They won't do the work. So,
but you know, what you do is you tell them 3 times, and then you also go the other way. Now, don't do this. Now, don't do this, and don't do this. And then they can't help themselves. After 3 imprints backwards and forward, they'll do it. You can give them the staircase.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, I was reading a book called doing something with the mind, how to hack your mind, or something like that. And it said that about the 3 times. And it said to say, don't do it.
And it's in hypnotherapy called the broken record technique. You just say it again and again, and pretty. My sister kept saying to her second husband, "You don't live here anymore. You live elsewhere now." you live elsewhere now. And pretty soon he stopped fighting. He said, you know, I live elsewhere now. And he walked out.
But was he saying he lives elsewhere in his mind, or was he saying he physically left?
No, he was in their mansion in Palos Verdes, and she was, every time she saw him, you know, look, we're divorced. You go somewhere else. This is my house now. You live elsewhere now. And finally, he stopped fighting and making a fuss, and it worked. It's called broken record technique, and it works.
Okay. I'll try that. But you're right. All I'm trying to do is, you're right. It's actually a good point that they could look at their fibromyalgia. Why not? Find out what's behind it.
Right. Now, you said that you met some crocodile reptilians.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'm looking at We Were Never Alone, Sky Gods with a Z, Sky God. They look like crocodile reptilians. I'm trying to find an image of what they might have looked like. So tell me about the crocodile reptilians. These are they tall?
Yeah, how big are they?
Yeah, they're pretty big. They have orange eyes, and they have a big snout. The pictures I've seen of the other reptilians, and I can't remember what those are called. Those don't look like the ones that I've seen. The ones I've seen actually have long faces and orange eyes, and they're pretty tall. And I've mostly seen them. Some of them are shapeshifters, actually, and they'll turn into people. And a lot of times, like you said, with that old equipment or whatever, they'll be behind a window where they can watch me. I've seen them there. I've seen them where I've been laying on a table with some sort of piece of wood between my teeth while I'm concentrating on something, and then I'll see a shapeshifter that's a crocodile.
Uh-huh.
So it seems like they really think they're in charge. I mean, from what I've seen, they think they're in charge of me. They think I'm their slave, and that all people are their slaves. And that we're not in charge, they are in charge. So there's so many layers.
We're wondering who is really in charge of planet Earth. And the story is that the reptilians were here originally, and then during one of the passings of the Nibiru or some kind of cataclysm, they went underneath the Earth. But then we came along, and they kind of like the sleaze.
No, the Atlanteans drove them underground.
Who drove them?
The Atlanteans, when the Federation came in, took all their forces. They landed the Maldecans in Southeast Asia, and they all converged on in the end. The reptilians went underground, and the Atlanteans started, using their equipment to try to chase them, and they wound up sinking Lemuria entirely, etc.
So there's all these stories.
Mm-hmm.
But you met one of these, or did you meet a bunch of them? Was there a group or just one?
It seems like they're working with the Illuminati below ground in Antarctica, to me.
In Antarctica, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I think a lot of them work, and it seems like they have some technology that the Illuminati really like, and they do a lot of experiments down there, and they also do a lot of surgeries, because I've been through many surgeries. And I think that's one of the things that's happened to my eye, is I've had many dreams where someone has my eye in their hand, and they're squeezing it. And it really hurts. So my eye doesn't stop hurting just because it's not in my head.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
Yeah. So. It seems like whatever they're doing, they don't really want us to know, but it seems like there's some sort of big every time I'm under there, I'll think Under the Sea, that song from Disney.
Yeah.
So I think that there's just a huge facility down there under the water, and they have, facilities for doing torture and experimentation, and I don't know. Whenever I've seen them, they're trying to get information out of me. They're torturing me for some reason. They're using a drill on my scalp, squeezing my eyes. So,
wow. I've had some interactions with reptilians, and they seem to have a form of telepathy where there's nothing left of you, that you can't hide a part of your consciousness or subconsciousness or superconsciousness. You're so raw, and that's why a lot of people drop over dead when they interact with reptilians. It's so horrifying that they literally leave their soul leaves their body. Wow. Now, when I was on Johnson Atoll in 95 to 97, the people, these were a bunch of military people, and they would rotate to these bases that were kind of, secret bases. I mean, they were known about to the public, but what was going on there was not known. Right. And part of the rotation, I could have gone to Antarctica, and I didn't know at that time in the 90s what I would have been getting into. But when I was on Johnson Atoll, I ended up in the underground base, and I encountered a dragon. And I had a woman on the other day who encountered a dragon, and the dragon was the size of, Lord of the Rings, Smog, right? So huge in this cavern, and it took up most of the cavern. So this makes sense what you're saying, that they have a reptilian base. Maybe that's really who's behind the Illuminati, is the reptilians. And they even call the Anunnaki reptilian, but the Anunnaki, when you look at their depictions, are humanoid.
It goes to Diego Garcia, too.
And there is an underground facility of kind of like they call it. It's not a train, but it's like a transportation system that's like a bullet train, but you can get halfway across the planet in an hour. Right? It's really fast. It supposedly goes all the way to Antarctica and to what's some of the places?
Diego Garcia, and also under Tierra del Fuego, and there's also one under Point Arguelles.
Yeah, you're too far from the mic. Anyway, so this is interesting. This is a piece of the puzzle. I think if we all get together, we'll figure out this puzzle. So, I got a picture of the sky. They call it Sky Gods. We were never alone. Sky Gods. It's some kind of. I like to see what people come up with, because I think we're getting hints by what people draw and the groups they create. There's somebody in the know that's feeding us information, right? Mm-hmm. And so here, this correlates. You said it was somebody who had a snout, and here he is. I find him. You can Google it, and it comes up. It's amazing. Whatever you describe, it comes up. So here he is. Now, the depiction they have is like he's very muscular, and he's wearing some kind of uniform. Did they have clothes? Did they have robes? What did it look like?
When they were shape-shifting, a lot of times they were turning into people. I did see some emblems, like a lot of them had like dark, there was one that I saw that was a dark olive with red on the, on the clothing. But there were no emblems on that one. I've seen like the Leo symbol, astrology, with one line or two lines underneath it. That's one of the emblems. I've seen something that looks like kind of like a spider, like an M with two dots, in the two points, in the two upright points. I've seen the Illuminati, which I believe is a DNA. It's instead of a ladder, the way the DNA symbol is. Mm-hmm. Instead of a ladder in there are dots in each of the curves. So that, to me, means Illuminati. So when I see that, I know that's Illuminati. I think sometimes when there are spiders, and I don't know if there are people in spider suits or if it's just a way of screwing with your mind, those seem to work with the Illuminati as well, and maybe different groups. I don't know, because I've seen a lot of spiders, a lot of giant spiders. And I've seen a lot of little hairless spiders, white hairless spiders. So I'm not sure. They don't always wear clothes, so you can't always tell what their emblem is. But I've just, so it depends. So it seems like if they want to turn into people, they have to wear clothes. And if they don't, if they're not going to shapeshift, why bother with clothes?
Well, I just wonder if they're really changing their form or if they're hypnotizing you to think that they've changed their form. So.
It's a good question. I don't know. I mean, in the very beginning, I thought they were shape-shifting and they were actually having to wear clothes, but you're right. I mean, this could all be in our mind for all we know because I think they're very good at hypnotizing us.
Now, another connection with the reptilians is we interviewed Joanne Richards and her husband, Mark Richards. They managed to frame him with a murder, so he's in jail for life. But he worked in the military, and when he was in the military, he worked with they're a reptilian race that looks like velociraptors, from Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that is a connection.
Raptors.
The raptors have the longs.
Yeah.
Out as well.
That is actually, I would think it would be like a cross between the two. But they have bright orange eyes. And so, I was looking up, reptilian, as a lot of people have drawn it, it had little tiny snout or a little tiny mouth, and it's not what I saw. So.
Yeah, most of them come up when you put in aliens that are reptilians, they come up with it's interesting what Google comes up with,
Yeah.
Reptilians. Let's see if I come up with any long-snouted. So they're very important. They're very important.
Yeah.
Here's Donald and Obama with the reptilian. What does he know? What are they telling us? It's the reptilian. I'm going to grab that. That's an interesting one. So, have you had any recent? And then they have the Queen. She's shape-shifting into.
She's turning into David Icke.
David Icke is turning. And I have interacted with the reptilian, but mine kind of looked like the short-snouted one, and more in the green. Mine kind of, as it turned, different colors would come through, blues and purples and golds. He was very pretty, and I was terrified of him as a child because he kept coming.
A chameleon skin.
But as an adult, when I was writing my book, he communicated with me, and he asked me to forgive him for scaring me. And so I said, okay, I forgive you for scaring me because, I don't know, maybe they care. I don't know. At that moment, I felt that he cared, but he could be manipulating me, and because you said they have total control of emotions. So we don't know what's going on. It's very, very interesting.
Remember, it's two ways. When you felt affection for him, he felt affection for you.
That's true. What I want them to do is reveal themselves, but maybe they'll never do that because they want to maintain control. They're always behind the scenes. We can never figure out what's going on. We'll just blame it on the current administration or something.
Well, that's a good distraction, right? Don't look at my hand at what I'm doing over here because you have, the election, and that's what you should be focused on.
Now, here I found a picture of them, Libya, and they're all the snouted ones. Maybe Libyans are the long snouted ET. Isn't that interesting? Sometimes when I'm trying to figure something out, I just Google it and I see all the images that it's like the internet is AI and it will deliver you the story.
The meme.
Here's the meme. So you get there and you go, wow, look at what's going on here. So, history. Go ahead.
I don't always look up that stuff because I don't want it to taint what I'm really seeing. You know what I mean? I want to see what I'm supposed to see, and that's why I don't want it to, you've had a lot more experiences. I'm still discovering things, so I don't want it to change what I might see because I'm expecting to see something,
Oh, the best stuff is the ones that you get your pencil out and draw it yourself.
Right.
Not that good of a drawer.
Oh, that's a skill that can be developed. It really can.
Yes. Here's one. It says Pete Buttigieg is a lizard. Everybody's a lizard. Yeah. So we're down to like the last 10 minutes or so. what would you like us to know about you, your work, your life?
I would like everybody out there to know that remote viewing is really, really important. And if you do this, if you buy my book is $3.99 on Kindle, and it's $12.99 in print. It has all the tools in there to get you started, and then you'll have to go forward and buy some more of Stuart Swerdlow's books. But I just want to say that being able to remote view is an important skill to have, and whether you use controlled remote viewing, which is using coordinated remote viewing, or if you use extended remote viewing by David Morehouse or Lynn Buchanan, all of the remote viewing skills are really, really important, and I think everyone should know that term, and they should also practice it, because it opens up your mind. And the thing that people don't realize about even remote viewing your own mind is it opens up your mind to possibilities. Your intuition becomes sharper. The things you know, your gut just gets better. Everything gets better. But you have to be willing to look behind your dreams. And when you do that, you become much more desensitized. Like there was this guy on another show I was on, and he was saying that he was really scared of spiders, and he would wake up and he would know there were spiders on him. And I said, and if you use these tools and you look behind that, you might find what's behind the spider. And if you do it enough times, you will be desensitized. Also, your mind only shows you the gist, the important stuff. Not the gory details, not, that the spider was attacking you with his pinchers or anything like that. Just what you need to know from what was behind your dream or your vision or your pain or your fear or your anxiety. And that's worth finding out. So I really want people to find out the truth about what's really going on with them. And that's why I wrote this book. I wrote it to try to get to my people, because I don't know anyone like me, and to show them that there are tools out there that they don't know about, words they don't know, remote viewing, skills that the military and others are using against us, and we could use it too. And wouldn't it be better if we were using it too and understanding it, instead of being, experimented on? We could experiment on them. Because when you go to sleep and you know you're going to be abducted, you're feeling a victim. You're feeling helpless. You're feeling like you can't do anything. Well, guess what? With Stuart Swerdlow's tools, which are in my book also, or you can just buy Stuart Swerdlow's books, they can be your guinea pig. So now you have all the clues of what's been going on. You can find out what they're really doing, and then you can piece it all together. So you're not a helpless victim. You are not the guinea pig. They are. So feel better.
Mm-hmm. Right. Information is power, and we can all organize and share our information and feel more empowered. And I think there are things we can do. Now, with my experiences, and I never know what's really my emotions or what's being programmed or interjected or what, but I at this point have positive experiences, and I feel elated when I have contact, and I don't know how I'm at this position and other people are feeling. I had a guest on last week, and she was like, feeling that angry that they hurt her and those type of things. So I have all these different, within this whole field of super soldiers and contactees and experiencers, we have the entire range of emotions.
Right.
Some people have gone through and they say, I don't fear it anymore at all. I think it was Elizabeth. I have zero fear. Some of them say, I'm on board ship and I'm the captain of the ship. When they go in sometimes they find themselves in roles like they're in charge. Sometimes they find themselves deep down in the hull of a ship and they're just like the engineer and they never see the light of day. Some of them find that they're the pilot, and there was one that said, I've been Borg, like the Borg, and they just use my consciousness to pilot this ship that is like a transport that goes the slow boat in between planets, and so there's the whole range of experiences. So here you are. You've been doing this for a long time now. You've written a book. How do you feel in this moment now about your contact with extraterrestrials? Or is it getting better or worse?
It's getting better because I'm understanding more about what's going on. Now, I'm not saying I understand everything, but it's getting better. The abductions are getting fewer. I feel like I'm more in control. I feel like they can't really hide as much from me, and they do try to hide it. So I actually have no fear either anymore. I feel like they use our emotions. They're sort of like narcissists, where they use our emotions for fuel, like our fear and our pain and our anger. That fuels them. They enjoy that. So, I had to work through that. That didn't come right away, but I just started noticing the sameness of the human narcissist and the ET, or those type of people. Or ETs. And I just started really noticing that if I didn't give them much emotion, it changed how they felt about me. Like they didn't really want me that much because I wasn't giving them what they wanted. They wasn't afraid of them. I weren't begging them not to kill my husband. You know what I mean? Those kind of things take away their power.
That's interesting. Sasha, you were writing down something.
What's really interesting for if you're listener, if you're just getting into something, if you're having what you think might be extraterrestrial or otherworldly contact, just imagine that you pretend whatever that you deliberately called this in, and that you want them to teach you about something, and in exchange, you'll teach them about something, and understand that you're empowered. You're a learner and a teacher both. And so that's it. It's a learning experience, so dig it.
Yeah.
So with all that you've learned, do you have any sense of the organization of the cosmos? Is this something that's happening everywhere? Is it just local in this planet or in this solar system or this galaxy? What's your sense of the grand design?
I'm not sure of that, but I do think that it's dimensional. So maybe I might be different in another dimension. Maybe this is still happening to me, but I feel differently, or maybe I've gotten past it. I don't know. I think time is really not what we think it is. And so I think there's a lot to learn because there's so much going on. The unfortunate part is that we just don't know it. They're not letting us know anything. So we all have to dig for information. So I don't know. I think it's a really, really big subject, and there are a lot of moving parts to it. And so it's kind of hard to get a feel for what exactly is going on or if it's just us. But I do think that I have a feeling that it isn't... where we are, near the Milky Way, it might not be happening elsewhere. It's just happening to us, and we're having to work through it.
Yeah, that's what I get. I go to these meetings and it's all on the light side of the force. That's the best way to put it. I'm going to a light side meeting, and it's all peace, and there's not any animosity. Nobody's even thinking a negative thought or judging species that you look different than me, than you're a different race, color, creed. It's mind-boggling. It is so unified and peaceful. And then I've had some 3D experiences like you have, where I perceived this. I even called my reptilian George, and I thought George was out to. He was trying to suck my soul out, my third eye chakra, and I thought he was trying to. But when I did some work on it, I've done hypnosis and regression and meditation, reflection and contemplation, and then I actually made contact with him when I was writing. So I've come full circle with George, and we love each other, forgave each other. So part of it in this is like perception, and then there's the reality of what's happening. Like, if we get down and you think about, well, they didn't really, kill me, right? That's
yeah.
They returned us. I'm still here. What did they do? What did you want to say, honey? I see you over there.
Okay. Are you finished with your story?
Well, I think we've got 2 minutes.
Okay. Well, I would just I'd like to do a quote from David Pomeranz. We can all know everything without ever knowing why, and it's in every one of us.
By and by. Okay, final words to you. We have 2 minutes. Go ahead, Lisa. Final words.
Okay. I just want to say that I use self-care. It's called Laho Chi. If you go to lahochi.com, you can get a packet that'll give you the information for Laho Chi. You get an attunement, and you can do self-healing. I do it after I am abducted and I can't sleep. I do the 4 hand positions for Laho Chi that you learn from when you go to lahochi.com. It's LAHOCHI.com. And you can pull it up, and it really helps me a lot. So there you go.
Excellent. And your name of your book is again?
Abducted and Furious, How I Fought Back and How You Can Too. It's on Amazon, print or ebook.
And do you have a website?
I have LisaO'HaraOnline.com.
LisaO'HaraOnline.com. Well, Lisa, we will definitely have you back. You're amazing. We're going to do connecting the dots. Go ahead, Sasha.
Oh, just having so much fun putting all these pictures of reptilians up on the site. You gotta check it out.
On aquariumradio.com, I have some connections to Lisa. And do email me those links. I'll add them to your show page, which is going to be up there as long as I have the site. So thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Liz.
Deborah.
Aloha.